Hi everyone, welcome back to The Gray Say There's a Better Way, my Pot Smokers Bible Channel program, which is me telling you, teaching you, what the Gray have taught me in direct communications with them telepathically, because I'm a telepath. And they have taught me from my youth everything that I know. So my life experiences were geared towards training me to become their spokesperson. I was 17 years old when I gave myself to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in prayer. And being that I was telepathic, I was heard by the Great, who are the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so they answered my prayers. They didn't at first answer me telepathically because they didn't want to scare me. So they used the ancient biblical techniques to answer my prayers, and also techniques which they projected into the future through prophecy. So between the ancient texts that I grew up with, which is the Old Testament, and which is the King James version of the Bible, I was taught the ways of Abraham. I was taught about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and but I was a Christian. So, so it was through my upbringing that I found the Great, and they worked with me through biblical means to assure me that they were the God that I was praying to. And then through the Bible, they taught me to branch out and to explore other religions and to combine all of that knowledge into a worldwide religion, which is called Zion. And through all of these teachings, I have become the high priestess of Zion, which is a unity religion, kind of like Wicca, where there is the feminine side of all things, and then there is the male side of all things, and the two of them work in union to assure unity of all things in this new society that the Grey are teaching me to institute in Zion. Zion is a prophetic nation that is supposed to be created from the destruction of a great northern nation which is brought about from the sides of the earth, which would be North America, and that would be the United States of America. And Donald J. Trump was put into power to undermine that so that Zion can be created. And in Zion, we have this new political structure called the Temple Complex, which is actually the ancient political structure that we call the Temple Complex. Too, kind of, we allude to it, but we see it as a religion. But my research indicates that it was not religious in nature; it was political in nature. And that is reflected by the teachings that they've taught me, their government. And their government is the temple complex that we see mirrored in our archaeology. Now, in my last episode, I was talking about the economy of the universe, how barter and trade is used, but how also we can sell goods off world. Now, by sell, I don't mean cash, because the diversity of life in the universe impedes the use of money, because money fluctuates too much. It's not binding in a universal sense. They barter goods for goods, services for services. And in the off world, is if you are selling something off world, you are given credits for it. They, the market has a minimum value. So you will get the minimum value for your commodity. So you're guaranteed that credit. Your goods are worth this base amount, and you are given this base amount in trade for anything else. And that allows you to make a sale without finalizing it off-world. Now, if the sale off-world is more favorable, then you are credited to your account the balance. It'll never subtract because you have that base. But anything off-world that is profited to you is added to your account. Now, also, say you're an electrician. You don't have a commodity to sell off-world, but you have a skill that can be used socially in your private sector. So you can, if you are an electrician, then you can sign up for extra hours above minimum and be credited those hours as if they were goods on the same ticket as you would have your off-world sale. So any hours that you do above your minimum required government hours becomes your profit, and you are credited those hours, which equate to the goods that you procure in that hour. So you get credited for your skill as if it were a commodity in your local sector, because off-world is only for tangible goods. Or you could apply for off-world employment, because you will be, okay, in order for us to have open access to the universal playground, if you want to call it that, to other societies. If you want to travel off-world, you have to train for it. So there will be an off-world guild office and a whole guild whose structure is only for those who wish to seek off-world travel. So if you're an electrician and you want to travel off-world, then you're going to go into the Off-World Auxiliary Guild. And you will, of course, have to qualify in your guild, your on-world guild. It's like the Electricians Guild has to qualify you for off-world travel. Once you reach off-world travel status in your guild, then you move to the auxiliary. Then you are trained in languages, you're trained in etiquette, you're trained in the difference between their techniques of using electricity and our techniques of using electricity. So you are groomed for off-world travel in whatever field you qualify in. And anyone who is a citizen of Zion will have the opportunity to go off-world, because no matter what trade you have, the off-world will have a spot, a place for you to go and seek employment if you want to live off-world. If you want to go travel off-world, you can get credit hours and save up credits here enough to pay for everything that you want to do out there. And see, there's going to be this adjustment period where things will be happening here on Earth that will keep us earthbound. Language is a big barrier. Before we have to learn the laws and rules of their society before we can venture out into their society, even as representatives, ambassadors, like I said, laymen, tourists, immigrants. And it's like the possibilities are endless. But it's going to take us probably 20 years to get into a position where we can safely venture off world physically. Now, those of us who are priests of Zion will be traveling off world through quantum entanglement, which is a real fun experience. I've dabbled. Okay, I'm a jack of all trades and master of none because I had to learn the basics of all aspects of everything dealing with off world and on world too. So I don't have these specializations. I have many talents, many metaphysical talents, but none of them are developed because the only thing that I could concentrate on was Zion. So when I dedicated myself to Zion, I went through the process of ascension and gained abilities along the way. But in order to master an ability, you have to concentrate on it. And I concentrated on the prophecy. You have to, you can't, it's like, God, I would have loved to have been a rock star. That was what I always wanted to be when I was a kid. But I gave that up in service to God. I had to choose between God, money, love, fame. I chose God and love and rejected money and fame as a musician. So I couldn't, and that was a choice that I made. But anyway, I digress. Um, we are going to be going through a lot of things in the next 20 years. So, and then it's going to be a little while, even farther than that, I do believe, before we'll be in a position to go off world physically, because we have much to learn, my people. And we have to learn those things before we can venture out. But there is a way. And there is a way for each and every one of us to profit in this kind of economy without ever using money. So your skills, your anything and everything that you create, all of those things will go towards enriching your life above standard. Because it's like that is this whole thing in Zion. You have standard and then everything above it. Standard is what we would call middle class. Okay, that's standard. So let's equate it in modern terms, in our current terms. Anybody who lives at level standard, who's lazy, who just doesn't feel like working, who has too many pastimes, and so they just want to enjoy their lives. They don't care about all the fancy shit. Standard's good for them. All right, as long as they can have the latest and greatest, they're fine. But on a standard level. So they have a lot of free time, and they're living at middle level. They're living middle class. They have everything they need, and everything they need is of good standard quality. Nothing fancy, but nothing ripshot either. A nice, comfortable living. Or you can upgrade to however fancy you want by your own labors, your own skills, your own desires, your own time. It's how it works. So let's all create a standard and then exceed it. So may the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. May they teach you right from wrong, and may you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it, and make that your guild choice when we get to Zion. My name, if you use drugs, stay happy and high. You have every right and reason to. You just may be a priest of Zion. I love you way too much to say goodbye, so I'm going to say later now.